The overturning of Roe versus Wade challenges equal autonomy in this country. Following World War II, the act of forced pregnancy became a crime against humanity, as defined by both the Nuremberg trials and the International Criminal Court based in Rome. The previously federally protected freedom of choosing to be pregnant or not has been stripped away from anyone assigned female at birth in the United States. According to Ritchie and Rose of Oxford University, that's 50.52% of the total population. That's the physical majority. These are people with social security numbers, voting rights, and valid thoughts and feelings regarding this matter. If you're a red-blooded American, you must believe in freedom for all, and the freedom for everyone to exercise their equal own rights. I am an American citizen with voting rights, just as much as you are, and I will exercise those rights for as long as I have them. As a democratic republic, we need equal bodily autonomy across the gender spectrum. Bodily autonomy encompasses far more than simply stating a readiness and will to be pregnant. In the case of intrauterine fetal demise, let's say there's an unforeseen circumstance that causes the baby to die within the womb at 30 weeks. This is past the 28 weeks that most states regard as a viable stage. There are multiple lawmakers and politicians who have stated that even in this case, they wouldn't allow an abortion. They would rather that the individual wait until the body spontaneously gets rid of the fetus, or an additional 10 weeks for a doctor to induce labor in this individual. In that 10 weeks, there is an increased risk of sepsis and death. This is precisely described in the maternal health considerations in the Roe versus Wade Act of 1973. And as a whole nation, this does impact us. Without this law's protection, the person carrying the demised fetus is at an increased risk of death. And according to the CDC, maternal deaths have increased by 10% from 1987 to 2019. And those numbers will continue to rise without access to fair and safe abortions. This is a problem because of the recent developments regarding Roe versus Wade. Most people are hesitant to seek medical help at this point, and this leads to unsafe at-home abortions, which are resulting in more deaths. This rate has increased from 4.7% to 13.2% since 2019. That's only 3 years. Surely, we can't attribute more bodily autonomy and rights to a life that could be, rather than a life that already is. The solution we need here is to value all of our citizens equally. It sounds simple. We need to get our lawmakers and the public alike to understand that by removing the right to abortion, they are telling us that our bodies do not matter. Why should we entertain the thought that people are being marginalized, mistreated, or oppressed by this decision? The politicians always ask. Well, according to the World Health Organization, most of the people dying from at-home abortions are non-Caucasian, at or below poverty level, and between the ages of 12 and 27. 12. Just let that sink in. Had we considered their bodily autonomy valid, we could have allowed these people to continue living and perhaps procreate when their minds and bodies were fully ready, if that was something that they had chosen. This is why we need to keep the right to accessible and safe abortions. There's already ample research that proves access to safe abortion saves the lives of many people. In fact, according to the CDC, that number is exactly 629,898 in 2019. That's nearly 700,000 people's lives that were saved because we respected their individual autonomy. If we don't continue valuing everyone's individual choices over their own bodies, we will not only see more deaths resulting from improper abortions, but we will see a rise in young children and teenage pregnancies, a rise in children within the foster care system, and we may risk overpopulation. Moving forward as one nation of many individuals, we can allow others to make the choices they deem are correct for their bodies while believing in something different for our own bodies, without being hateful and disrespectful to one another. Just as we currently allow with vaccine status, so we can with the choice of abortions. So if you're an American who believes in freedom for all and equality of all to exercise their rights, you should allow people to exercise this one. We may have regained the right to safe and accessible abortion in Michigan, but now we need to put the heat on our federal government. That means our state Congress people and Supreme Court justices need to rule it back into federal protection and deem it a constitutional right. People with uteruses are not cattle for breeding. They are human beings with thoughts, feelings, brains, educations, careers. We shouldn't treat them as such. Thank you.